Good evening. Welcome to another edition of the 411 Talk Song radio show right here on YouTube. My name is Leon Jones, and what I'm going to talk about is I call it the Democrat flight. And of course, I'm going to present other topics in this video. Now, there is a lot of news going around based on what's going on out here. And I will tell you, do not listen to the mainstream media because it's all propaganda. Now, I heard Chucky Schumer the other day talking about how the Republicans, with their restructuring plan, are going a lot of voters cold. Well, it is very funny because the Democrats have done the same thing. You look at Illinois, you look at Wisconsin. The funny thing about when the Democrats do something, oh, it's a-okay. But when Republicans do something, it's not okay. The bottom line is the Republicans are the party in power. They want to get a leg up for the 2026 midterms. And I don't blame them because I do not trust any of these Democrats out here. Most of these Democrats out here are very left wing. They want people like Mamdani to actually run the party. So the people who are moderate Democrats will not get any votes because the Democrats are very, very subservient to the left wing of the party. And if you look at the effect on the culture, this is what Donald Trump has done. He's gotten rid of a lot of the woke culture. You look at some of the colleges out here. There are a number of colleges who had programs that they're no longer going to be accepting any students into this year. I know I live here in Indiana, and the state schools like Indiana State, Purdue, Indiana University, University of Southern Indiana, Ball State University, those are the five that I know. They've cut programs in women's studies, African American studies, LGBTQ studies, and other studies. Now, why? Because those degrees don't mean anything. Now, if you are utilizing those degrees to get into law school or to be a teacher, that's one thing. But if you're just going to school to be a teacher, that's something. And I want to put this out here because I watch a number of panels out here. And I want to tell you, sister, something, because this is directed to you. Your degree does not make you any more intelligent than a black man with no degree. I mean, I remember when I didn't have degrees, I would read, I could do statistics, I knew history. The bottom line is you can build off of your education by applying it to the real world. See, an educated person who just goes to school, you might have the answers in the books, but the problem is a lot of professors feed you propaganda, particularly if you are in the majors that I just mentioned. So, number of your sisters out there, your degree doesn't make you more intelligent than somebody who doesn't. It's your common sense. So I looked at Fatty's panel the other day, and this is one sister arguing with angry man about, well, the studies. Oh, well, you have to have studies. Well, a study could be anything. A sample. A sample could be anything. But it's kind of funny, and this is where I have the pushback with some of the sisters up here. See, when a guy goes and utilizes statistics. Oh, it doesn't mean anything to them. But when the sisters are getting checked or doing the checking, oh, the statistics mean everything. See, that's a form of control, and they're utilizing that control to, for the most part, not only emasculate you, they're trying to make you look stupid by thinking you're not educated. In other words, they're using confusion, because what happens is if you come at particularly women in this generation, regardless of race, here in the United States, you're looked at as a misogynist, toxic masculinity. You hear that word going round and round and round again. There is no such thing as toxic masculinity. That's all made up. And see, a number of these women here in America have been allowed to get on these shows and lie. Now, of course, some of the sisters, the problem with them is they get a lot of their rhetoric from the media. And I guarantee you, there's a gubernatorial race coming up in Georgia. And Keisha Bottoms is going to be running for governor. And you know who's going to vote for her? A lot of the blacks. Black people are going to vote for anybody who's black, regardless of their policies. You look at Johnson in Chicago. There's another Johnson in Baltimore. You look at Westmore. These blue cities are out of control. Look at that brawl that took place in Cincinnati. In fact, I believe it was 5 black guys hopped on and beat that white woman to a pulp. Now, if you look at it right now, you're not hearing anything about too much of that in the media. But if it were the other way around, there'd be riots. The bottom line is, black people, if you don't want the same thing to happen to you, don't do something to somebody else. See, the days of pandering, the days of being a victim, they're basically over. And I have to say, if you don't like this country, you don't have to live here. And right now, we have 2 cultures. We have tradition versus, I don't know what this is out here. Or I could say religion versus secularism. The bottom line is the media is all part of it. And the problem with the media is you have too many people who are listening to the media and they're not doing enough research for themselves. So I can have an opinion all day, but I like to base my opinions off facts, and I like to look at reputable resources. See, the Democrats, here's their plan. Their plan is to obstruct everything that Trump does. I mean, they did something very cowardly. They all got on a plane and went to blue states because of redrawing the lines. They've done it. And to me, they should be arrested. That's a dereliction of duty. They're cowards. And for anybody that wants to vote for that party, now I'm not saying the Republicans are the greatest, but what I like about the Republicans because of Trump, see, if Trump wasn't in power and they had a president like a George Bush, the Democrats would run all over the Republicans. But the Republicans know if they want to keep their power, they need to look at Trump, the president, President Trump. He's fighting. President Trump is the leader of the Republican Party. And if you are not fighting as a Republican, you're going to get ousted. Now, what the Republicans really need to do is they need to oust a number of the rhinos, people like Susan Collins. Now, what I like about the Republicans is they're getting some younger blood in here. See, the Democrats still have that same old blood out there, running their mouths, thinking that we are looking at Bloody Sunday. We're hearing Martin Luther King preach. But all the Democrats really want, because they don't have a plan, they want to try to control the narrative by going on all these media outlets and doing nothing but lying. And they can do that because they have enough uneducated people out here or low voters who don't know anything. And these Democrats can get into the feelings of these low voters. Bottom line is this: you need to know what's going on in your state, in your county. I bet you if I ask a number of these individuals right now, what's the capital of your state? Many of them couldn't tell me. I bet you I can ask somebody, well, what's the hierarchy of your state and local government? I guarantee nobody can tell me. Because just because you go and vote nationally for the president and the Congress, you still have state and local government. In fact, the state and local government, they're the ones that are going to raise or lower your taxes. They're going to be the ones that are going to fix your streets or not fix your streets. I know here in Indianapolis, there's been a problem with potholes. But the budget is not in there to fix a lot of these streets. And that all comes from the mayor's office. What kind of monies are going to be allocated? When you deal with politics, I look at all angles. Now, the problem with the Democrats have to come more to the center, and they have to get people like Chucky Schumer out of there. He's too old. He's senile. People like Maxine Waters. And I'm glad once they get Jasmine Crockett out there, get them all out there. Get people like Al Green out of there. And the Republicans can find a way to get 5 more seats in the House, get an added advantage. That'll help Trump's agenda. Sorry, Democrats, you didn't win this election. And what's going to happen? You're going to lose a lot more seats. See, I don't go by what the polls say. See, the polls, if you look at the media, says, oh, the Democrats might win the midterm election. Trump voters, oh, they don't like what Trump's doing. Well, who said that? See, the ones who say they are Trump voters, they might not be Trump voters. Bottom line, I like what he's doing. The deportation, the tariffs, they're working. Taxes. I know I see a lot of bull crap on Yahoo. Well, tax cuts for the billionaires. Well, first of all, they pay the most taxes. They're in the 1%. And a lot of people out here, they're employees. They have that employee mindset. See, one thing that you must understand by living here in the real world is life isn't fair. And as a man, I don't base everything off of fairness. As long as I have an opportunity, I don't expect fairness. But see, women, they look at everything, well, it's not fair. Well, again, only the strong survive. If you're not equipped to be in this country or to understand the capitalistic system, then maybe you don't need to be here. This country is not for you. You have people like Rosie O'Donnell and that dumb Negro Charlemagne. He's talking about the president. Charlemagne knows nothing about politics. Joe Biden checked him. Said, if you don't know the difference between me and Trump, then you're not black. Charlemagne didn't even come back with any type of pushback. He's weak. In fact, I will say that a number of black people, they're just not politically savvy. Because I know what black people are going to vote for. Many of them are going to vote for the same old tired politicians, and they're going to always be in the hood. Many of them rather be on a low income housing project. I'm not saying they're not poor whites out there either, because they are too. The bottom line, when I hear the billionaires get most of the tax cuts, well, how do you know the billionaires get most of the tax? That's rhetoric. To me, you get the tax cuts based on the percentage of taxes that you're paying. And right now, the economy, for some, it's bad. But for a lot of us, it's good. And what you have to understand about the market is what's in demand. I know we look at supply and demand when we talk about economics. Yes. But what we need to keep bringing down is energy, because once you bring down energy, everything else falls. You don't hear anything about the price of eggs, do you? No. I kind of quieted down. And this moron went into New York last week, or the week before last, and killed 4 people, including himself, near the NFL headquarters in New York City. You don't hear anything about that. Why? Because it's against the narrative. The person is not white. You had individuals on the mainstream media who didn't even know what race this person was. Oh, they knew in the background, but they didn't want to put it out there because they always want to make everything about somebody white. If you look at these Democrats out here, they had the Democrat flight. And this is what the Democrats are doing. When you have policies that no one cares about, they try to be obstructionists. And they can keep on with their obstruction. We need to keep them out of power. Now, do I agree with everything that the Republicans are doing? Absolutely not. But I do know that if we had Kamala Harris in power, what would have been? And then you got guys like Mondami. He may be the next mayor of New York. What are you New Yorkers voting for communists for? Now, here's something that you have to look at as well. What kind of city council is Mondami going to have? Are they going to have a lot of liberals in the city council? Probably. And what's going to happen is, and I'll tell you, New York is something. Don't come out here. Don't come out here. You will not be welcomed here in Indiana. This is a red state. I'll tell you where to go if you're a New Yorker. Going to Allentown, Pennsylvania. I used to live in Pennsylvania. Well, a number of you are going up there to the Poconos anywhere. You're buying property and you're building all these houses. But stay away from here. Bottom line is, you bring those liberal views here. And you people from California, Newsom wants to run for president. Not going to make it very far. And right now, I only see 2 people who are Democrats who may make it above water. And that's Brashear of Kentucky. And that's Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania. Those 2 might make a pretty good ticket. But the problem is, you have a lot of people on the left who are anti-Semitic, and Shapiro is Jewish. Basically, if you think about it, the Democrats don't have a pot to piss in and a back door to throw it out. They're running. Again, saw people like Jasmine Crockett. They're talking about racism. There's you sisters out there. It's funny how you want to be feminist. You get that from white feminists. You know what the white feminists are doing? They're going home to their men. They're making you look like fools. They're not saying anything. Where's Gloria Steinem? You don't hear anything from her. She was an agent. But the bottom line is, I look at CNN. You have Abby Phillips. She has this panel, mainly women. They're not smart. They're coming from emotion and delusion. And see, that delusion that a number of women has, it starts to settle into their relationships, their everyday lives. Because a number of women, their children, they're stuck in arrested development. They act like money grows on trees. They think, go out, spend a lot of money. Yeah, they can go and spend a lot of money on all these trips, but can't pay their bills. See, right now, that woke culture is being destroyed. Again, you look at Stephen Colbert. It's what happens when you get on television and you spew left-wing bullshit on late night TV. And I'll tell you what, Charlemagne, you better be careful. Because remember, you're working for somebody too. Could be Westwood One Radio. All that rhetoric you're putting out, you could find yourself on the unemployment line. It's because you make money today. The View, coming after you next. Once we start reducing some of the mainstream media, and getting some real media, because we're the real media here. I mean, I don't even go and listen to anybody on X. I'll read a lot of crap, and most of these individuals, they don't know anything because they're getting their information from television. Bottom line is this: the president has been in office for almost 7 months. And he's not finished what he's doing. I mean, deportation, for deportation. Yeah, and the tax cuts. Let me explain to you about the tax cuts, why they are expiring in 2028. They're expiring in 2028 because that's going to be used as a message when it comes for the next president, particularly J.D. Vance. If he runs for president, we're going to get some Republican. They're going to continue the Trump train all the way to 2032. But that's a game of chess right there. See, what's happening is they need that issue. They don't say, well, what I'm going to do, I'm going to continue on with the no tax on tips and no tax on overtime. I want to make them all permanent. See what's going on right now. You don't hear a lot about the tariffs. Now, I know Canada is still being charged about 30%, 35% tariff. You look at Europe. Europe is being charged a 15% tariff, while the United States, they don't have to pay a tariff. Now, I know you have some economists out there saying, well, the tariffs might not be all that good. Well, it depends on what side of the spectrum. And just because you're an economist doesn't mean you know everything about what's going on. You're talking in theory. You have to look at what the market is doing. Now, about 4 or 5 months ago, when the tariffs were being pushed, the stock market was going down. But now you look at the stock market now. The stock market is it's booming. This is see for people who understand money, they want to make money, but most people they're not into making money. They don't invest. They're into going to work, getting a paycheck, getting some entertainment. Now, some of them, for the most part, they're trying to make it through life, barely make it through life, but you got to have skills. And skills come from gain skill from education. But going back to what I said about the college degree, too. So I'm flipping back and forth news, I'm going into different topics as well. Education doesn't make you smart. College education is all extortion right now. It's indoctrination. And many of us have been indoctrinated. Many of us don't really know what's going on. It's because a professor has a PhD. Let me tell you something, college is much easier now than it used to be because most of the time you can take courses online. But you got to understand what's going on out here with the news. People don't understand what's going on with the news. Now, I will say this. If you really want some real media, ground.com. Ground.com. Now you have to subscribe to that, but with ground.com, you're going to get news from the left, center, and right. But the left is going to continue to put out propaganda. They're not changing their stance. The left wants a communist country. They want people to depend on government. Bottom line is, it's not working for most of us. And it wouldn't surprise me if they came up with something that is going to stifle the economy, like another virus. Because right now the Democrats can't win if you have sensible voters. And you have CNN telling us what Trump voters think. Why can you tell what Trump voters think when you don't even engage Trump voters? So this is a problem with the left in this country. They're only around individuals in their circles. They can't get away from coasts. They don't know what's going on out here. They make up what's going on. I remember you had that fat Wallery guy from New York named Gerald Nadler. Real short, roly-poly guy. When all this crap was going on with the riots, the George Floyd riots, you know what he said? It was all myth. It's all myth to him because he couldn't get out of Washington. He didn't know what was going on around him because he didn't care. But this is what the Democrats do. They create crisis and they try to get everybody emotionally riled up. And there are a number of people who fall for the bait. See, these are your weak-minded people. The bottom line is, if you understand what's going on out here, you're going to live in this country, it is going to be competitive, even finding a job. You have to have the skill. Comes the jobs. You even have to know somebody. I mean, a number of these interviews on these jobs out here, they just don't ask you about your skills anymore. They're asking you behavioral questions. Now, I'm not one who believes that takes it takes a team to compete the dream. First of all, bottom line, if you have a dream and you're not putting it into reality, that's all it is a dream. That's all it is. And when you're going into the workforce, now I'm just going to say this, you got to be very careful who you interact with. There are a lot of people If you're not part of the clique, they're going to rely on you. I know what's happened to me. And I'm a guy that I don't like to get into foolishness at work. I go do my job and then that's it. I'm not trying to go on any outings with you. I'm not trying to shoot the shit with you. I want to go home. Bottom line is, we hit dream work, the teamwork makes the dream work. It's all 90s, all 90s stuff. Bottom line is, in order to make the team work, you have to have individuals that think like you. Now, you may have some little disagreements, but the bottom line is, if you really want to make the system work, get like-minded people. All this teamwork makes the dream work. That's fairy. Smoke and mirrors. It's feel good talk. I will tell you this. Anybody who has a job right now, here's what you need to do on your job. Start documenting. Your manager's going to document you. Start documenting them as well. Start documenting people around. If somebody snitches on your work, ask who. Well, who told? Document it. That way, you have something to present. So I made mistakes and I didn't do that. I believe the workforce is all a joke now. When I hear a bunch of men in the workforce, all they do is gossip and gossip about nothing. Used to be we went into work and we were professionals. I see nothing but a bunch of individuals that have arrested development issues. In other words, they're adolescent adults. That's what it is. And if you're not one who deals with that very well, you're going to be ousted. But I will say this. Learn the skill. And if you're in certain fields, I'll tell you this right now. If you have an accounting degree, you have an engineering degree, or law degree, anything that requires some license, even if you have a degree in social work, you really want to get ahead, get that license. That license means a lot. Now, as a civil engineer, I'm working on getting it. Gives me a much more flexibility. More doors will open. You see, you have to think of it like this. Even the work, all the millions at the bottom, I call them the peasants. You're a peasant at work. The employees are. You're a peasant. And you're always going to be a peasant if you don't have certain criteria. I know I worked for the city of Indianapolis. One of our managers said, go and get the certifications. I looked at him, I said, what, feel good certifications? Because many of you didn't go to school. You didn't show that initiative to get a degree in construction or engineering. And now you're going to say that your certifications are as good as somebody that's gone to school, got an engineering degree? Those certifications are all rackets. They make you feel good because you can put in your email that you got some letters by your name. They still don't mean anything. You still what you are. You still can't sign plans. Yeah, you have a little bit more distinction over your peers, but you're not professional engineer. You're not an accountant. You're not a lawyer. So this is what individuals need to understand when they go to college. See, when you go to school for all that bullshit, your degrees aren't marketable degrees. This is why college is, because some of those majors that I told you about had low enrollment. This is why some of the colleges I know here get rid of all that. You just can't come to school and just say, well, I want to get a degree in African American studies. It's a waste of money, even if you have a PhD in it. Now, if you are going to be a teacher, okay, you can go get a history degree, you go get a master's degree in education, and you go get a doctor of education. That's what you need to do. But you have a number of people out here who don't follow their own rhetoric. They don't. They don't really know what's going on. And they don't care to know what's going on. That's the thing. What I'm here to do is give you an idea of what's going on. You have people out here that are utilizing social media to actually put their dysfunction on. And social media has really turned the undesirables into even more undesirables. You have individuals that will get here on YouTube, don't cam up, they have the most to say. And they love to argue. What I'm doing is giving you information. Now, I don't care if you like it or not. From a common sense standpoint, if there's content that you don't like on YouTube, don't watch it. Don't even comment on it. See, that's the problem. You have people that want to sit around and play games and argue all day. What's going on? We're getting back to the politics here. You need to know what's going on in your own backyard with your government. Now, does the president walk on water? No. I'm going to tell you something. He's a hell of a lot better than what we could have had. We had 4 years of Joe Biden. Joe Biden was the DEI president. He said he was going to put a woman of color, black woman, as his vice president. Yeah, he didn't choose a good one, and he didn't choose a good one for the Supreme Court. Ketanji Jackson, she's having some issues. Because even the liberal minions, like Sotomayor, they don't like her. The Supreme Court keeps giving Trump all these wins. He got the wins where he can defund NPR, PBS. He can also cut funding for the not the Board of Education, but the Department of Education. So yeah, if you're a government employee, yeah, government employees used to have it easy. They don't have it easy anymore. Heck, it used to be people would stay in government for a long time. They get a good pension. Those days are gone. And there's going to be even more cuts. See, that's what you have now. I mean, I remember last year, and almost $4 a gallon for gas. Now, of course, gas is fluctuating here in Indiana. It'll go down to 289, go up to 305, goes up to 339 and back down. Now it's back down, and I believe the national average, if I'm not mistaken, was roughly around 340, because California, New York, and Illinois, they pay a lot for gas. But politically, you need to understand what's going on in your city, in your county. You need to look at who you are electing for your school boards and then what they're teaching. I know parents who pay a lot of money for college. See what they're teaching your kids. Because college is a lot of money. And right now, if they're going to have a market for people who go to college, there's a market for them out here. Depends on what majors. And no, not everybody is a STEM major. I know I have a STEM channel, but everybody is not a STEM major. Do not have to be a STEM major. Because I'm going to tell you this about STEM too, while I'm on it. Well, let's talk about computer science. Used to be you go in there and you wrote all that code. AI is doing that right now. I mean, computer science 20 years ago, when they had C++. All right, I even can go back as far as when they had Fortran and BASIC. This would be the big thing to write code. AI can write code for you. You still have platforms like MATLAB, you have Python, and I'm not a computer know-it-all, but I know those languages out there. I mean, I took C programming worth 4 credits. And this was back in 1999, 26 years ago. You don't see that CDs are gone. You see CDs are gone. Even flash drives. They're not totally history, but you need to know what's going on with the technology as well. And you need to use the technology. You know, I was in the store today in Meyer right up here on 96th Street, on the Indianapolis side of 96th Street. Walmart is on the Fisher side of 96th Street. And one thing that I know is this: some of the people should not even be going through the self checkout because they don't know how to use it. And when they don't know how to use the self checkout, what happens is gotta wait for somebody to come and fix it for them. And that just backs up the line. And some of you might know what I'm talking about. And these are individuals who are a little older. They had no concept of technology. Bottom line is, everything is getting even more and more less, I want to say, humanistic. Where if you go in a grocery store, how many cashiers do you have? You used to have a lot of cashiers. I have a lot of them anymore. You go inside your McDonald's, your Taco Bell, even your KFC, you got kiosks. You don't have the 2 or 3 registers up in front anymore. You don't. Everything is computerized. Even your phone is a computer. And with technology, you just have to keep it up to date. But the bottom line in this country, it's just not the politics. You need to know what's going on in your media. You need to know what's going on with the education, the religion, government, and the jobs. Going back to the five power conferences of society, because that's what the liberals have dominated for the last 60, 65 years. And I'm just going to say this, living in the real world, you have to know where you're getting your news from too. It's because people get on CNN, and this is where the Democrats go. And like I said, they're very, very cowardly. They drew the lines up to give themselves an advantage in some of their states. They don't want that happening to them. And you really believe that Texas is going to turn into a blue state? Nada. That's just like Illinois turning into a red state. But if you really look at the whole map, besides the populated areas, 90% of the United States on that map on election day was red. And I'm going to give you the number. It's roughly 3,100 counties in the United States. About 25 to 2,600 of them red. That tells you something. The only reason why the Democrats were even in play is because of the populated areas. Why? Because all of the cities are run by Democrats. And what's in the cities? Well, you have two classes of people, both liberal. And I don't even like to use the word liberal, progressive. But see, when you look at people out there who actually have money, or let's say they vote Democrat, like a Stephen A. Smith, you think that he wants 90% of his money going into government? Let's talk about people like Joy Behar. Yeah, they sit out there and talk all this, I'm a Democrat. They make a lot of money. They're the high salary people in New York. So when Mamdani comes in, I think those gals on The View, they want 90% of their money going to people who didn't earn it. Do you think in your right mind, do they want government run grocery stores? Because anything that the government gets into is going to be mediocre. You know, I hear some people talk about, well, we need government run healthcare. No, you don't want the government in your healthcare business. It's going to be terrible. You're not going to get quality services. See, what it is when you have people who are in a communism, they give you the perception that they're going to make it a good life for you. When basically a communist and socialist, they live off the fat of the land. They make it good for themselves while they make the rest of their countries poor. That's what people don't understand. But they run around like communism is very special. And this is why I don't like women in power. Women talk too much about this is not fair. Competition is not fair. See, the bottom line is what's fair is you got an opportunity. But what some of these women want, they want equity, which they want equal outcomes. That'll never happen. Not during your lifetime. That's not even realistic to want equity. You think people are going to give up their money to individuals who don't have anything going for themselves? The reason why you have a number of people who don't have anything going for themselves is because they don't want anything for themselves. They're not going to try, or they don't have the skills because they never looked at getting any skills. Bottom line is this. You have to know what your government is doing. Now, of course, this president, There'll never be another president like this president. And he's taking a lot of chances. None of these bureaucrats out there could even have a deal. And he has a book, The Art of the Deal. We got to look at the art of war. They're talking about firing Jerome Powell about the interest rates. Here's what's going to happen. They're not going to fire Jerome Powell. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen right now. See, Jerome Powell, his term is up next year. They're already looking at his replacement. But you see, you have everybody who doesn't know that because they're under this perception that, well, Jerome Powell is going to be fired because he won't reduce interest rates. It's not it. And sometimes what you believe is going to happen, it's not going to happen. Like the polls out here. I taught you guys last year how to read the polls. I don't believe any of the polls because the polls oversampled Democrats. There was one poll out there that I read, it oversampled women. And it was 9 pages. Well, who the hell is going to fill out 9 pages for a poll? Not me. But you have all these individuals out here who really think they know what's going on. They really call themselves articulate just because they're on television. They're the ones shooting this propaganda out there. They're the ones making you dumb. And see, in your other countries, like Cuba, China, the government controls the media. See, these individuals here that spout out that they want that communism. Now, at least Bernie Sanders, he calls himself a socialist. He is. That's why he'll never be elected. And this Mamdani, if they're running on communism, the Democrats, more power to them. It's just going to keep the Republicans in power longer. And nobody is going to go visit New York. With him running it, I mean, it's going to be high taxes because the bottom line is this. Who's going to pay for all these government stores? What are you going to do with all the employees? You're going to take private businesses and you're going to turn them into government businesses? How are you going to do that? What's the city council think about all this? See, the mayor just can't go and do anything that he wants to do without approval from the city council. Now, of course, you got all the Democrats running the city council up there in New York. They might give him what he wants. But then, what about police? What about streets? There's a lot of things that this Mamdani does not understand about running a city. And New York City has a population greater than some states. No one has a population greater than my state of Indiana, Delaware, Maryland, all of the New England states, and even states like Wyoming and Montana. You're almost running a state when you're running the city of New York. You got over 25,000 police officers. It's the largest police department in the country. What does he know about a budget? What does he know about infrastructure? He knows nothing about infrastructure. But yet he's going to go and create all these government stores and these other government programs. This man doesn't even understand politics. And then he tried to put himself in the school as a black person, shave his head bald. And see, the problem with black people, they're too accepting. This is why I hate when they get on television and say black and brown people. You don't hear brown people saying black and brown people. No, black people, they're too inclusive. That's their problem. And everybody knows it. Now, if it weren't for black people, all these other minorities wouldn't benefit. But see, black people aren't looking at that. And there are things that black people have done. Let me tell you this. When it comes to college, black women think that black men haven't done anything. Look at open heart surgery. Person that was black had no college education. Look at the elevator. Look at the traffic light. Black man invented that. Look at the mailbox. Now, of course, a black woman now, she didn't have a college education, but in the 60s, and I did a video on it, she invented a security alarm for your house. So these were influential black people or black people you never heard of. Look at refrigeration trucks. Black man invented that. Pavement markings. You know, individuals think Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone. There's a black man behind that. Bottom line is we don't hear about it. When it comes to the black man, we always hear that the black man, this all came from the 90s. Where we were all pimping hoes and calling women bitches and hoes and doing drugs. And right now, this is a culture where black people are celebrating that culture. They're celebrating the downtrodden. Well, we'll never make it. I mean, you get people like Jasmine Crockett coming in here, trying to be ratchet. My thing is, I don't want to appeal to the downtrodden. I don't. But that's what you have in black districts, the downtrodden. And all the downtrodden are going to do, they're not going to do anything. And that goes for white people too. Downtrodden are the problem in this country. I can remember again the wintertime. Saw a lot of tent cities in Indianapolis. Now you also look at what's going on too out here. The rash of violence with young people. Again, going back to Cincinnati, young people. Here in Indianapolis, on July 4th, young people. Where are young people getting all these guns from? Of course, now you did have that massacre up there in Montana. But where's all this violence coming from? It's coming from, number one, you parents out there. Your parents need to stop trying to be friends with your kids and beat that ass once in a while. That's a problem. Your kids are not your friends, they're not your peers, but you're treating them like your peers. Be a parent. Kids need their head knocked off once in a while. But a number of you parents aren't doing it. Your parents aren't teaching structure. See, that's the difference. You see, the Democrats don't want structure. They want a free for all. And they're saying that the right wants fascism. You might have some people on the right that want it, but I haven't heard too much of it. But the left, they really want an authoritarian government. See, every time the left calls the right something, it's really, that's because the left, they're doing it. And they want to have the perception that they're the compassionate ones when they're not the compassionate ones. The left are your bigots. But see, when you have the media where the left can run to and control what's being said, and they can deceive people because it's the art of deception. And if you don't pick up on it, you're going to be deceived. It's a scam. Well, the left knows how to deceive the right. And they've been doing it up until Trump got in office, because now it's different. Trump is playing chess, not checkers. President is. why the Republicans are fighting. But the bottom line is this: you have to know what's happening out here. What you think is happening might not be happening. I know individuals believe that, well, Pam Bondi isn't doing anything. She don't know what she's doing. Nobody knows. Nobody knows what Trump is up to, but understand the president is up to something. He's keeping you on your toes. And see, no matter what the media says, the media is only putting out what they believe, but they don't even know it. Like this Russia stuff. I knew it was all a hoax when it started. They put it out because they didn't want him in the White House. Now let's see what they're going to do with Obama. Now, Obama has immunity, so they're not going to arrest Obama. But the goons that are behind Obama, I want to see some of them go to jail. Some of them might not. But you know what? They don't have to go to jail. But you tear their credibility up, they're going to wish they went to jail. You put their faces all over television, they might not be in a prison, but they're going to be in what we call a public prison, where once your face is plastered on television, on radio, and you're infamous, your credibility is shot. People who are smart, they're definitely going to stay away from you. They're not going to want to do business with you. And that's sometimes better than sending somebody to jail. Let them take the heat. Something else people need to know. Look at the news that's going on in your city. I noticed, again, this information that happened in Cincinnati. Didn't hear too much about that in the media either, because it goes against the narrative. And in the end, just want to say this: really need to know what's going on out here. Now, don't take everything that I say. You have to actually go look at it for yourself, because I'm not always right. And I don't proclaim to be always right. But one thing that I do know is I see what's going on. And you have to look around you too. Don't trust people you work with. Sometimes you can't even trust your own family members. You may believe you have friends. Well, they may have been your friends from what they told you, but you remember this: actions speak louder than words. You go to work, and I know I went to work and they told me I wasn't doing A, B, C, D, and E. Well, why? Well, it's because this didn't happen. Even at work, people see deception, but they don't look at the reason. Why? Because they really want to get rid of somebody. A lot of people that they got rid of, some didn't do what they were supposed to, and some were lied on. Bottom line is, you have to watch your back. Don't let everybody into your circle. That's what many of us do. And see, Black people try to friend everybody. Don't let everybody in the culture, and then they take your culture. They don't want you, but they love your culture. That's where that old saying comes from. Everybody want to be a nigga, but don't want to be a nigga. Don't let everybody in your house. Don't even let everybody know where you live. If you win the lottery, don't even tell your family members. Don't even do business with your family. Because people, think about this. People are like a theater. They put on an act. That's all they do. They dream. They're the ones that always say, teamwork makes the dream work. Well, when you make the dream work, yes, you have a team, but now it's no longer a dream. It's reality. You put it in action. A dream is just something that you think of that you never put into action. That's why I don't use that term. You have to look out for your household. Look out for you and your partner. If you're married to them or not. If you're in the same, look out for them. If they're down, you help them up. And that's not a simp either. We use that word simp too much too. You're only simping when you believe that you're doing something for somebody and they appreciate it. They don't appreciate what you do. You don't do anything for them. But if you're trying to get this woman to like you, and that's why dates are bad too these days. I see a number of women wonder why men don't want to take them on dates because it's not worth it for the most part. Got a number of them trying to get something free. And then they want to dictate the date. No. And this is the problem with a number of women. See, women want the benefits, but if a man gets a benefit, they're going to bitch about it. But they want the benefits. And they can control it by utilizing narcissism through being a victim. In other words, they can cry wolf, and there'll be somebody putting that cape on for them. That's why you got to be careful. You really got to be red pill out here. There's red pill for everything. And then you got to go deep into the black pill. See, people who are blue pill, and I'm bringing that back up again too. People who are blue pill, they're the ones that are saying teamwork makes the dream work, thinking that something's going to happen good, and it never happens. This is why, too, going back to dating, I'm putting social topics in politics as well. Dating single moms. Don't do that either. It's a problem. There was one woman on a video, I believe Anton had it up. This woman said, any guy that dates her needs to become a father. I'd run for the hills. If you're going to be a father of your own kids. Don't be a father of what somebody else made. Because that kid's not going to respect you. Now you can go out on a date. And I used to say the word smash and dash. I came up with that phrase. I don't even think about that anymore. Guys, you need to be on your purpose. Really be on your purpose. Don't think about so much of getting your dick wet. Think about getting your money right, not for a woman, but for you. Black men, I'm just going to tell you this. Stay away from other black men who are subservient to women. Stay away from those black men because they don't want to get you in trouble. And those women who black men are catering for, they're going to throw those black men under the bus as well. It's like communism. See, communism sounds good. They get all the minions, they get all the millions that help them. And then once the communism is in place, what do they do with all the minions? They kill them off too. They don't need them anymore. They discard them like trash. That's real. But nobody wants to hear that. This is why you got to be cognizant of what's going on out there. News is happening every day, good or bad. You have to keep up with it. If you really want some education, hit these streets. That's where you get a good education because everything is live. And what you see on TV is not what you think it is. It's deception. But overall, when it comes to being a man as well, don't be afraid to be a man. Stand your ground. Educate yourself. And people out there, live in the real world. Don't be in the what we call the arrested development stage. Grow up. There's nothing wrong with growing old out here. Somebody calls you old, ignore them. Because the person that's calling you old, they may either be old one day or die when they're young. Bottom line, what I'm preaching tonight is common sense. Real education involves looking at what's going on around you. Everything does not have to be a statistic or a sample. But you look at the actions that are taking place. Education comes in many forms, not just a college degree. But in the end, here's what I'm going to tell you. Strive truth because the truth always set you free. If you strive for deception, you will always be disappointed. So the bottom line, the war right now is truth against deception. What you want is to stay up what's going on. Always look at the truth. If somebody says that's your truth, no, there's only one truth. You can have many items that are true, but truth is singular, not plural. Always strive for the truth. Why? Because the truth always set you free. And that's my commentary for this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. If you like what I just presented, please comment, share, and subscribe. And if you're looking for some STEM content, check me out on the QCIS channel. On that channel, I give you a daily dose of science, technology, engineering, and math. Now, here's where you can find me. 411 Talk Zone radio show. You can find me right here on YouTube, Rumble, X, formerly Twitter, and Truth Social. And for the QCIS channel, you can find me on YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, and LinkedIn. And I want to say something about LinkedIn. I know I'm getting individuals out there who are asking me to connect. Well, if you're not dealing with anything with STEM or any business with STEM, I will not connect with you. The purpose of that channel is an educational channel, educating individuals in STEM. I'm not connecting with anybody. Only people I connect with are the ones who have my phone number. I do not believe in connecting online because, again, you have a lot of deception online. And that's why a number of individuals are being scammed. And on that note, I'm going to say this: be blessed for what you have. Don't worry about what you don't have. Always know that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. Doesn't apply, let it fly. But if the shoe fits, wear it. If you don't like the shoe, then change it. And once again, thank you for listening to this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. Till next time, my name is Leon Jones. I want you all to have a wonderful and gracious evening. God bless you. I'm out.